Dave at Dagryffyn Hobby. Wanted to show you today what's going on with my layout. I've got track laid for the outer loop around most of the layout. I still need to cut some custom pieces for the spot here before the turn, the spot at the end of the run back here, and then another straight piece for the far end. Then the outer loop should be good to go. At that point, I have to decide how I'm going to secure the track. At the moment, I'm just using these small nails to keep the track in place. Now, with the track I had before this, that's all I used. I kept the track where I wanted to go. It also enabled me to remove the nail and adjust the track if needed. I do want to do something more permanent than that. I just don't know if I'm ready to secure it yet. So I might leave the nails in it for, I don't know, maybe a month or so and make sure that everything works the way I want it to before I secure the track down. I really enjoy doing the scenery over here, the edge scenery. Obviously it's not done. You can still see some gaps in between the pieces of foam, but it's done for now. I've got the track laid here. The white is where the roadbed was, and I had to move it. You can see little bits of the foam that stuck. I did find that some of the foam was damaged to the point that I couldn't use it when I pulled it off, and that usually had to do with the caulk being too thick in spots. Where I laid the caulk very, very thin, the foam came up pretty easily. This inner corner here, you can see I had to relocate the track further out, which means I had to redo the table corner. I had to bring the foam out a little bit further to be under the track. I like the way it turned out. This turn will be a lot nicer while the trains are running. I'm going to be using 2 ZWs to power the layout. At the moment, that's overkill for one track, but I hope to have at least 4 loops, possibly a run for a trolley, and then 1 or 2 very small loops just to run some older small trains. Over in this corner, where I had to relocate the turn, you'll see I ended up with more space instead of less, so that's nice. So I'll have to work on the scenery there, texture that. I ran solid wire for a bus wire underneath and for feeder wires, but the solid wire is very stiff, so I'm going to leave that as the bus under the table, but I'm going to change the feeder wires to a more flexible stranded wire. Pardon the glare from the lights. I had installed lights under the layout so that I could see what I'm doing when I have to get under there. Most of the weight of the layout is supported by 2x4s that are bolted to the wall. I've used 2-inch conduit for the legs with a 2-inch wood dowel in the middle that's screwed to a piece of 1x4, and then that's attached to the table. If the layout top was plywood, I would probably need more legs, but considering that it's foam and very light, I have found this to be plenty of support. Even with everything I've done so far, the layout's still very light. I drilled multiple holes in each piece of wood so that I could easily run wires. The power for the layout comes here. It's plugged into the wall to an electrical box, and then that runs the length of the back of the layout to a couple of outlets. That enables me to unplug the layout completely if I need to do work. Also, the outlet that it's plugged into is on a switch on there that will kill everything, so that would include the lights under the layout. The transformers are also plugged into a power bar, so I can just turn that off and turn the transformers off. Okay, the track. So I switched from various 027 track, some left over from my youth, some picked up God knows where, some purchased recently, mostly Lionel track. I really didn't have a whole lot of complaints with it other than the age. So I switched to the Menards 031. It's an improvement over old rusted track. I don't have a full loop at this point yet. I can run a train from one point to the other without any noticeable drop. a plus for being new and clean. What I have found, you can see here, in some of these pieces, the gauge isn't right, and the trains are derailing and slipping down into it. I've tried multiple cars, so it's not just this caboose, but this 3 pieces I have found out of a box of 24 that the gauge isn't right. You know, I'll have to get the proper tools and then re-gauge it so that it's right, but I just found that to be very disappointing with brand new track, that the gauge isn't right. I've never had that before, even with 40-year-old 027 track. The gauge was always good. So that's 3 pieces of brand new track, and I had to pull them off the layout. As far as the pins, grip is okay. Some are better than others. That's tighter. Tight on one side, loose on the other. So that's a little annoying, but I can get track pliers, which I should get anyway. Also, if you pull the pins out of one end to put in the other end, do like an S-curve, they don't stay. You have to pinch the track about a 1/4 of an inch in. You have to pinch that with pliers to get the pins to stay. So the Menards track, would I use it again? Yes, I think I would. It's a lot better than old track. If you have no track and you need track to do a layout, would I use the Menards? Definitely. You could certainly get old or used Lionel 031 or 027 track online, but for the price and dealing with old track, I would say if you're starting out and you need track, go for the Menards track. The outer loop is taking me a little bit longer because I had to redo some of the turns and work on the table, and I got sidetracked with all the scenery around the edge, but I really had a good time doing that, so I'm glad I did. So the outer loop should be done in a day or so, because running it from point to point back and forth just isn't doing it for me. So what's next for the layout? Finish the outer loop. I've got about 3 pieces to cut custom length so that the loop is complete. Then I need to run the feeder wires up to the track from under the table. Then the inner loop, need to figure out exactly where that's going to go and if I am going to raise that up an inch or not. After that, I think I might be ready to build the table up to see where a second loop will go, because I might end up covering the entire tabletop here with more foam and build it all up and then carve it down. That's where I stand for now, is getting this outer loop going, getting the inner loop going, and then building it up for the upper loops. Probably won't do anything with the river until the upper loops are in place. The far end will be mountainous. There'll probably still be mountains over here in this corner. And then on the other side of the layout, mountains as well. A valley here in the middle. I want to be able to use various bridges, and I have a picture of a viaduct in my head across the back of it, so I think that will be fun. If you have any questions about the track or how I'm building my layout, or if you have any recommendations, let me know in the comments. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already. If you have subscribed, thank you very much. I hope to be able to continue to provide a whole lot of content. I've got a lot of plans, and I hope to be able to continue getting videos out to you guys. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time on Dagryffyn Hobby.